Hello and welcome to a special Easter episode of All the Year Round. During the surprise snowstorm back in March in the UK, we decided to follow up on a special gluten-free and nut-free Simnel Cake recipe that we referenced in the first part of our Mother's Day episode, where we explored the history of Mother's Day in the 19th century. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a link down in the description. We found this recipe online at Sylvia's Kitchen. The link for that is also in the description below. It was March, it was cold, I was really quite wonderfully trapped in Birmingham, and we all wanted some cake. We start off by preheating our oven to 160 degrees Celsius and lining the base and sides of an 8-inch tin with baking parchment. Now it's time to measure out our ingredients. We take 300 grams of glace cherries and cut them into quarters. And now we drain the pineapple pieces. It's important to dry them thoroughly on kitchen towel so that they don't sink to the bottom of your cake. If you heard some crying in the background just then, that was Lily, Hayley's lovely beagle. She didn't want to be left out, so she came in to supervise us. Measure out 300 grams of sultanas. Finally cut 300 grams of dried apricots and wash 2 lemons under warm water and then zest them. Now it's time to combine all the fruit. In go the sultanas, the cherries, the apricots, pineapple pieces, and lastly the lemon zest. And then mix together thoroughly. Moving on to our cake mixture, measure out 225 grams of self-raising flour. If you need your cake to be gluten-free, the recipe suggests using xanthan gum alongside your gluten-free flour to help keep your mixture thick and to stop it from separating. Cut 225 grams of unsalted butter. Put your flour and your butter into a mixer at a good speed until it's well blended, or if you're like us and you're snowed in, take turns with a fork. Once the mixture becomes crumbly, it's time to add in 4 eggs. We suggest doing this one at a time and then mix until the batter is nice and smooth. Now it's time to add in the chopped fruit. We did this in smaller batches just to make it a little bit easier with the mixing. And then it's time to pop it into the tin. Once it's all in there, wet the back of the ladle and then push the mixture down to even it out. You should trim the baking paper if necessary, and then it's ready to go into the oven for 2 hours. The recipe does recommend putting some kitchen foil over the cake after the first hour to prevent it from getting too dark. So once the cake is finished baking, leave it in the tin for half an hour before transferring to a wire rack to cool completely, but since it was getting late, we left the cake to cool overnight. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, we got back to making the buttercream the next day. For this, you will need 200 grams of unsalted butter, 250 grams of icing sugar. You should whip the butter until it becomes soft. And then it's time to add in your icing sugar. Grate the peel of 1 orange. And then add that to your buttercream. And then follow it up with half a teaspoon of orange oil or essence. And then it's back to mixing that in. Now it is time to buttercream our cake. Liberally spread the cream on top, covering all of your edges. And now it's time for my favourite bit, decorating. We got some chocolate flowers and leaves to pop on. So that every slice had a flower and a leaf. We also got some little icing sugar flowers to put on as well. And we finished it off with a little nest of white chocolate eggs. Then it was time for tea and a lovely slice of cake. We hope that you enjoyed this little recipe video and the long Easter weekend. Our next episode will be up later this month on the 21st of April, when we'll be celebrating Charlotte Bronte's 207th birthday with a special guest. Subscribe to our YouTube or follow the podcast on Spotify to make sure that you never miss an episode. And you can follow us on Twitter at alltheyearroundpod, where we put up episode reminders and fun facts throughout the month. We hope to see you then. Bye for now.